CTV News with Ricardo, Veneza.
We've been very, very clear. We're always going to be there to support the workers and the industry.
Talking cars in the capital, auto industry executives met with government leaders in Ottawa to plot out the next moves in the U.S.-launched trade war. Good evening. The heads of Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors were all in the capital today to talk about the trouble Donald Trump's tariffs are causing in auto manufacturing. CTV's senior correspondent Mike Lucan brings us the wrap from Ottawa.
Inside the Prime Minister's office, Mark Carney huddled for an hour with the Canadian CEOs of GM, Ford, Stellantis, and the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association. When it was done, François-Philippe Champagne said little about the discussion.
We had a very good meeting talking about the industry, and we've been very, very clear. We're always going to be there to support the workers and the industry.
He refused to say whether or not the federal government will keep the electric vehicle mandate. By next year, 20% of new passenger vehicles sold in Canada must be either battery-powered or hybrid. It was something car makers clearly wanted to discuss ahead of the meeting.
The EV mandate itself is not sustainable. The targets that have been established cannot be met, and that will be part of the discussion.
Those in the industry say EVs currently account for 9% of total sales. And if they fall short, Flavio Volpe says it's the car companies that pay.
And to sell regular combustion units, they've got to buy a credit from some company that's earned it, or spend $20,000 per unit on charging infrastructure.
On top of that, those same car companies continue to deal with 25% tariffs from the U.S. Now, there is a carve-out for components that are built in America through the integrated supply chain. Still, Canadian auto exports in the U.S. fell by 23% in April.
They make 6 or 7% a year in profit. If there is a tariff in for 5, 10, 25%, it makes those operations untenable.
According to a readout from the Prime Minister's office, the meeting also looked at ways to make Canada's auto sector more sustainable and competitive in the face of shifting trading relationships, something that could be more urgent if Canada isn't able to strike a trade deal with the U.S. in the next 19 days. Mike Lucan, CTV News, Ottawa.
And a note for viewers traveling north. Ontario Provincial Police have closed the westbound lanes of Highway 402 at Centre Road near Strathroy due to a serious crash there. Police say a hazardous acid is slowly leaking out of a transport truck stuck in the ditch. A passenger vehicle was also involved in that crash. Now, there are no reports of any serious injuries as a result. Police say the highway won't reopen now until tomorrow morning at the earliest to allow for the chemical spill cleanup. 2 women have pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice tied to a deadly shooting this past winter in Windsor. 53-year-old Sean Stewart was shot and killed outside of the city's H4 Homelessness and Housing Help Hub on January 27th. Court heard less than an hour after the shooting. Colleen Cloutier and Althea Carver helped the shooter find his coat and toque. He said was part of an active investigation and that the police would definitely be looking for these. Court heard the pair did not know it was tied to a shooting investigation. The pair were sentenced to time already served and given 3 years probation, which includes movement restrictions and other regulations. Well, the Chadam family is grieving the loss of a young child that was struck by a train very early Saturday morning. Police say the child was hit around 1:10 a.m. near Kyle Drive and suffered critical injuries. Now, despite efforts of first responders, the child was pronounced dead at the scene. A 56-year-old Windsor man is charged with aggravated assault after someone was badly injured in Tecumseh Sunday night. OPP are asking anyone who may have been in the area of Arlington Boulevard and Hayes Avenue between 7 and 8 p.m. on June 29th to come forward, including those who may have any surveillance footage from the area. Police say the victim was hospitalized but haven't provided an update as to their condition. Meantime, Windsor police are looking to the public for help in tracking down a pair of suspects wanted in a stolen vehicle investigation. Police say a car was stolen from a home on Ellesmere Avenue in the Ottawa Village area and was abandoned on the morning of June 20th. Police say the 2 suspects seen in this footage here were seen leaving a stolen vehicle downtown on Olette. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Well, Wheatley residents are stressing again over a second gas leak investigation inside a week. that has plans to reopen the library tomorrow next to the site of the reported odor put on pause. CTV's Chris Campbell reports.
Around 5 o'clock on Canada Day, a strong odor was noticed near the Wheatley Library by a passerby who quickly called for help. Within minutes, emergency crews were on scene.
This was exactly what we were asking for. We asked people if they smelled gas or if there was any issues, they should call us, and that's exactly what they did.
It's the second time gas was detected at this location in 5 days. The source is still under investigation, but experts say it's likely connected to old oil and gas wells below the surface.
We always say that we get paid to worry so you don't have to, which I don't think would be fair for the people in Wheatley who are living with this concern, this obvious concern. As you've heard from us, from the province, this is a major issue with over 20,000 known wells in Ontario.
So this legacy is going to haunt us for generations to come as we find these old wells that are undocumented, one after another. And Wheatley is just the most recent example of this process.
For residents like Ron Shaw, who lives in town, the reappearance of gas, even in small amounts, is unsettling.
People are on edge right now because of it. If they smell anything at all, they're certainly going to say something. We'll just have to wait and see.
The moment you smell rotten eggs, there's an issue. But the good thing is that our noses are extremely sensitive, and we can detect rotten egg smell down to less than 1 part per million.
We will work to deal with this specific well. We'll work to either put a stack on it or to permanently close it as the investigations continue. But I think this is something that we will be planning for and living with for some time, for smells of gas and potentially finding unknown wells or wells that are leaking, and be able to deal with them without causing too much concern to the community and without causing too much disruption. But we always err on the side of caution.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Well, now to plans for a major development in Chadam, where plans for a home improvement store have been switched to a new set of residential towers. York Development's plans to build 4 high-rise towers with 774 units. They'll be 12 to 14 stories tall. The project has 2 phases and requires local planning amendments. Now, council is expected to consider those this summer. Mayor Darren Caniff calls it a sign of Chatham-Kent's growth and attractiveness for investment. Ontario NDP leader Marit Stiles is touring the province this summer and took a 2-day swing through Windsor, Essex. As our Robert Lothian reports, the focus is on workers and on trade.
Joined by more than 100 union members, Marit Stiles took aim today at government negotiators.
Every day longer is a day that the government is trying to divide you, right? It's trying to weaken you.
The NDP leader standing alongside striking workers. Canadian Hearing Services workers have been on the picket line since April, and WSIB staff since May.
It's actually disgusting what our CEO is doing, what the board is doing, and how they are treating their employees who have just been doing a stellar job at servicing the deaf.
Unions are unconfident a deal will be reached anytime soon. Stiles wants to see the province step in.
I am appalled that the government hasn't, gotten involved and said, get back to the table and get a fair agreement with these workers.
Earlier in the day, Stiles met with business and union stakeholders, talks focusing on strengthening the labor market in a region plagued by high unemployment.
The situation was already not in a great place, and the potential and the anxiety around what's to come is very real for people here.
Business leaders pitched ways to improve the labor force. A major barrier, according to employers, remains limited public transit.
Because people, as we said, need to be able to get from point A to point B. And when we're talking about a lot of the workers that we're talking about here today are not people who are necessarily going to be able to afford a vehicle to get somewhere right away.
As she continues to tour, Stiles is calling for regional job strategies to help chart an economic path forward. Robert Lothian, CTV News.
Workers at the Best Western Plus in downtown Windsor have now been on the picket line for more than a month.
Disappointed that this employer hasn't come back to the bargaining table to address their need.
About 37 workers walked off the job on June 1st to back contract demands. According to the union, the employer is offering just under $19 an hour. Workers previously voted overwhelmingly against what the company called its final offer. Union President Emil Nabout says he wants to see the company return to the bargaining table.
My message is very clear to this employer that our members are very determined to stand here as long as it takes. And they have all the support from the labor community, from my local union.
In Toronto, it's a similar call from the Ontario Compensation Employees Union. Members and frontline workplace safety and insurance board staff were outside the station earlier this afternoon, calling on the WSIB to return to negotiations. The union says wages and workload are among the biggest points of contention in the talks.
We're here today to support our strike because we've been on strike for 7 weeks now. We're here to support the injured workers of Ontario. We're very important to this most vulnerable part of our society, and the WSIB executives don't feel that's the case. We feel that we've been providing the level of service the best we can, but we've been determined, like they've reduced our training, they've reduced the amount of staff, then our workloads increase.
About 4,000 workers launched a full strike on May 22nd after engaging in rolling walkouts. Western University researchers have confirmed a tornado touchdown in Lucan last week. They're assessing the damage done, which looks to be mostly contained to farmers' fields. As CTV's Brent Lale reports, the twister is being registered on the low end of the tornadic strength scale.
There's some markings in the crops here. Tornado went through, left a very clear path. You can see it really well from the drone. Also, there's trees here that had big branches snapped.
A research team from the Northern Tornadoes Project is assessing the damage from an EF0 tornado north of London.
It was the loudest sound I've ever heard.
Brenda Hawkins and her family have a big cleanup ahead after the tornado went through her farm property.
You can see back at the tree line there that's where it went through. Lots of tin from the old barns that was a little bit loose that just gathered. I thought for sure the whole thing was going to be going. But yeah, there's a little bit of cleanup.
The tornado quickly came through Lucan Monday afternoon. Some residents are questioning why a weather alert wasn't sent out before the storm.
To be perfectly clear on the timeline, the funnel cloud was spotted at 3:25, and Environment Canada didn't put out the notification to 3:49. It was over and done with. So we can only notify on our social media channels if we have the alert from Environment Canada.
In a perfect world, every single tornado that happens in Canada, would have a warning beforehand. Hopefully one day we can get to that, but it is quite difficult to do that for these weaker events like this one. So would it be nice if this one was warned? Absolutely, and hopefully we reach something close to that one day.
In their early assessment, the researchers believe there could have been more than one tornado. They will take their evidence back to the office to analyze. And while they do their work, officials in Lucan think there's lessons to be learned.
The next time our emergency control group gets together, we'll kind of talk about what happened and the timeline and what was in our control and how we can serve our residents better in the event that we're faced with another weather emergency.
Before then, the Hawkins family will begin picking up the pieces left behind. Thankful it missed their home and other barns.
It could have been a lot worse.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Okay, 2 tornadoes in Ontario so far this year already. Wow. Well, no tornadoes in sight tonight, but we do have a weather update for you right after the break.
It's absolutely a win. The defense took a really big gamble.
Still ahead, details on the split verdicts in the high-profile trial of P. Diddy. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joining us now for a check of the forecast. And Gary, as we were talking earlier on in the 6 o'clock show, summer has delivered. It has brought the heat, and we've got more of that on the way for tomorrow.
You're right about that, and I think we'll see a bit of a clearing through the overnight, just past 1-2 a.m. A starry night, a mild night to say the very least. Temperatures hovering around 20 degrees in parts, and we'll see a return to some sunshine for tomorrow after some morning fog dissipates. The afternoon is bright, sunny, and warm and humid. Today was a bit of a humid day as well. Reached 30 degrees. Average high is 27. At this juncture, the lows have been in the upper teens. Now we're going to see a bump for early tomorrow morning. Good westerly flow brought showers, scattered showers and thunderstorms across parts of upper Michigan through the Lake Huron shores and intermittently right through the extreme southwestern Ontario. But here's our clearing, and it looks like we'll hold on to high pressure for the most part over the next couple of days. Sunshine really does dominate much of the lower Great Lakes region. If we do see showers, it's in part due to daytime heating. And by that, we talk about warm air. And how does that air get warm? Well, the earth is heated by the sun, which then heats the air in contact with the surface. That air rises if it has enough instability, low pressure, and of course moisture. It condenses into the clouds that produce the showers. And if there's enough instability, there can be storms that certainly do result. I mentioned the clearing and mild temperatures. Right now, the projection is somewhere between 18 and 21 between now and sunrise. 18's on the lower end. I think it will be closer to 20 degrees across the region. 21 by 8 a.m., mostly sunny. It's calm in terms of the wind, and that will be the story through the noon hour. We're up to 25, and during lunchtime, for many, it'll feel like 31. We are going up to 30, feeling like 37. The wind's relatively light through the afternoon, so that's going to be a warm one for sure. Use your sunblock, your sunscreen. UV index has been off the charts of late, and that's continuing to be the story, will be the story for the next few days. 30 tomorrow. 29 followed by 32, still sunny, high pressure in place. Showers possible, more than likely, in fact, at this juncture for Sunday afternoon and evening. A high 32 feels like 40. Sunny through Monday, Tuesday, close to 30 degrees there, and then cools off just a bit. A week from now, Wednesday, mostly cloudy and 27. That would be seasonal for this time of the year. Ricardo?
Okay, Gary, thank you for that. Lots of sunshine on the way. Well, for the first time in at least 2 years, it appears the U.S. is losing jobs. New data from the payroll firm ADP show the United States shed 33,000 jobs from the private sector in June. It's a surprising result for economists who had predicted growth of 115,000 jobs. The prospect of job losses raises concerns that President Trump's tariff policies and the uncertainty that surrounds them may be causing employers to both lay off staff and freeze hiring. Well, Canada's main stock index finishing slightly higher today. The TSX up 13 points, while the Dow is down 11. The Nasdaq, though, climbing 190 points today. The Canadian dollar is up to rest at 73.41 cents U.S. Gold up nearly $10 an ounce, and a big jump for oil, up $2 a barrel.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
Start your day with the latest local news. By signing up for our newsletter, you'll get direct local content straight from CTV Windsor to your inbox, including top stories, the forecast, and videos. You can sign up at ctvnewswindsor.ca. Canadian military aid for Ukraine may be affected by a new move from the Pentagon to hold back some weapons meant for Ukrainian forces. CTV's Judy Trin has more on the fallout and whether or not other allies can make up the difference.
Just as Ukraine is recovering from Russia's biggest air attack, a barrage of more than 500 drones and missiles over the weekend, the Pentagon is pausing some of its military shipments to Kyiv. The White House said the decision was made to put America's interests first, following a review of the nation's military support and assistance to other countries across the globe. Among the weapon deliveries being halted, the missiles that go into the NASAMS surface-to-air missile system. Canada donated a system last year to Ukraine, but it would be useless without American parts.
It took nearly 2 years to implement and get over to Ukraine. That was for, the system, the launchers, the missiles, the radar, everything that goes into that system. It's very sophisticated. It was for the system. It was a kind of one-time deal. The assumption was, of course, the Americans would continue to supply support to make that system work. I think all guarantees in that respect are off the table.
Last month, Donald Trump also expressed a willingness to step back from supporting Ukraine against Russia.
Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart.
For any nation to take a look at his stocks and determine that they're too low and therefore need to be dealt with very carefully is supportable. If this is linked to the warmth that the president feels towards Russia, that's a far more concerning change.
Ukraine is working with European NATO allies to manufacture its own weapons, but this is a strategy that will take months, if not years, to replenish its supply.
Well, the high-profile trial of rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs has ended in a split verdict. After 13 hours of deliberation, the rapper was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering, but convicted of prostitution. CTV's Adrian Gabriel on Combs' fall from grace and what happens next.
Waving and smiling, the Combs family exited this New York City federal court. As protesters came face to face with supporters of Sean Diddy Combs, emotions running at a fever pitch, just moments after the jury delivered their split verdict. Delivered on the third day of deliberations, the jury of 8 men and 4 women declared the 55-year-old Combs not guilty of 1 count of racketeering, conspiracy, and 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, but guilty of the lesser charges of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs, who's already been incarcerated for 10 months, could still face considerable prison time. At sentencing, each of the prostitution transportation charges carry as much as 10 years behind bars. While Combs' lawyer declined to comment,
saying something soon.
Multiple criminal law experts are declaring today a victory for the former hip-hop mogul.
It's absolutely a win. The defense took a really big gamble going to trial on this case.
The prosecution called 34 witnesses to the stand, multiple ex-girlfriends, including singer Cassie Ventura, who claimed that Combs forced her to engage in sexual encounters called, quote, freak-offs and hotel nights. Jurors watched this 2016 hotel video of Combs dragging and kicking her. Ventura's lawyer stopped short of calling today a victory for his client.
We're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. He still faces substantial jail time. Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard.
With this decision, Combs avoids a possible life sentence. Moments after the verdict was read out, his family began to cheer in the courtroom as the one-time music star appeared to fall to his knees in prayer. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Washington.
Pure Country 89, Windsor's country music station. Pure access to the biggest stars and the hottest songs. Download the free iHeartRadio app to listen to Pure Country everywhere.
The Windsor Symphony Orchestra is offering a free outdoor concert series, perfect to pair with maybe a picnic or simply a pair of lawn chairs. A look at all the lawn chairs there at a previous WSO outdoor concert series. Now, summer concerts in the park are being held at various venues in Windsor and in Essex County between July 18th and the 26th. The first 3 are in Windsor. The first on July 18th in the Windsor Sculpture Garden over at the foot of Bridge Avenue. That's set for a 7 p.m. performance. Then on July 19th, the next day, it's a 1 p.m. show at Ojibwe Park, followed by a 7 p.m. performance at Riom Park. The last 2 are in the county, July 20th in Amherstburg and July 26th in Leamington. If live jazz is more your style, the inaugural Electric Avenue International Jazz Festival is making its debut July 4th and the 5th. You can experience world-class jazz, soul, and blues in Via Italia and the Electric Avenue Art Alley. Well, Canadian cinema is taking center stage in downtown Detroit with the Windsor International Film Festival crossing the border.
It was a gentleman on the phone. He said, well, you're the heir to Jackie Shane. And I said, well, who is Jackie Shane?
Two acclaimed Canadian films, Any Other Way, the Jackie Shane story, and The Humanist Vampire will be screened in a free cross-border collaboration. The outdoor event will be held at Campus Martius Park on July 17th. It's part of a growing partnership between Windsor and Detroit, highlighting shared culture and unity. Campus Martius will also serve as a satellite viewing venue during the first 2 days of the annual Windsor Film Festival in October. Okay, Gary is back with a wrap of a 7-day forecast. Gary, both the warmth and the sunshine set to return for tomorrow.
You're right about that. Tomorrow, sunny through the afternoon, a high of about 30, feeling like 37, 38. We might feel a bit cooler, certainly for our good friends on Pelee Island and along the north shores of Lake Erie because of the proximity to that large body of water. But sunny and warm and above seasonal temperatures throughout much of southern Ontario proper. Even more sunshine for Friday and Saturday, and temperatures could climb into the low 30s for the weekend. Showers possible on a mostly cloudy day Sunday, and then more sunshine Monday, Tuesday, and temperatures near 30 again. And cooling off just a touch, but still seasonal a week from now on Wednesday. Wherever you are, have a good night's rest, and of course, enjoy tomorrow and the weather. We'll see you then. Good night.
Okay, Gary, thank you. Yeah, I'd be interested to know just how many days at 30 or above we had in June, because it looks like July is starting off strong as well. That is our time tonight, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Ricardo, Veneza, and for everyone here at CTV on both sides of the camera, we hope you have a fantastic night. We will leave you tonight with some of the sights and sounds of Windsor's annual Canada Day Parade as it made its big return to downtown yesterday.